Life After the Rams is proudly sponsored by Seven Restaurant and Café Bar, located on Pride Park in Derby. Seven is the leading destination for all-day dining, artisan coffee and handcrafted cocktails, where the community comes together to relax, connect and celebrate.
Life After the Rams with Colin Gibson.
Welcome back to Life After the Rams. I'm Colin Gibson. This is episode 5. Today we're joined by a Pride Park icon, Craig Bryson, 2 times Player of the Year, hat-trick hero against Forest. Now retired, we reflect on the legacy, the loyalty and life beyond the game. Now, before we get into our chat with Sean, here's a chance to win £50 to spend in the DCFC Megastore, courtesy of RamsTrust, the Derby County Supporters Trust. Answer this question and then send it via email to lifeaftertherams@backpassproductions.co.uk. Who was his manager when he went on loan to Cardiff City? Of course, they got promotion. The closing date is midnight, Wednesday, December the 3rd. The winner will be selected at random from all the correct entries, and good luck. RamsTrust is the Derby County Supporters Society, established to promote good governance and fan engagement. They welcome new membership applications from all supporters. Just visit ramstrust.org.uk/membership for further details.
Life After the Rams with Colin Gibson.
Craig, great to chat to you and catch up after all this time. Let me take you back to the 13-14 season at Derby. I think arguably your best season, but maybe with a frustrating end to it. Hat-tricks, Player of the Year, but a playoff final substitute. Let me take you back to that QPR final. When did you know you weren't playing and how were you with that?
I found it in the morning of the game, to be honest. Steve McClaren just pulled me when we were going for a team walk. I think it was before or after the pre-match meal, and just said that he's going with a team that basically played the second leg against Brighton. It wasn't a great feeling, mate, to be honest, but you try and put your disappointment behind you. I was always a team player, and then try to get behind the lads, and when I come onto the pitch, try to do everything I could to try and get us the win and promoted.
But that had been a hell of a season for you, hadn't it?
Like I said, it was arguably the best season in my 20-odd year career. So to be left out of kind of like the showpiece game in that season, after basically playing like nearly every game in the season, it was quite hard to take. But I found it a wee bit harsh in a sense that he picked a team, well, he picked the same team that beat Brighton convincingly a couple of weeks before that, but that was kind of like a one-off game. I thought it would go with like a kind of team that had got us into that position, because I felt like once we scored like the first couple of goals against Brighton, they kind of went a wee bit. Their heads went down. I think everybody knew that we were going to win the tie and go to Wembley. So I picked up a small injury to my back in the first leg, so I didn't train for maybe like a week. And I eased myself back in just so I was ready for the final, basically. And then to get kind of dropped in that manner, it wasn't ideal, but it is what it is. I'm over it.
10, 11 years on, yeah, maybe it does take a bit of getting over, because it was just the culmination of an incredible season, as we said, personally, but also for that team.
We were going okay, and Nigel got sacked, and Steve came in, and we went on this like incredible run. Like, it took us up to third in the table, and I think we were just going into games and turning up to games just feeling like we were just going to win. And it's not an arrogance or like complacent or stuff like that. It was just a kind of feeling that we were playing that well, that it was going to be quite hard for teams to stop us when we were on it. And luckily for us, we won more games than we lost that season. And unfortunately, it's not so much losing the final, it's probably in the manner we lost in terms of like them being down to 10 men. I felt like if the game was going to go extra time, then I feel that we'd have won it in extra time.
It's funny you mention about that arrogance. I remember a game away at Blackpool. Blackpool scored, I think in the first minute, an absolute worldie of a goal. And I was working for the club at the time, and I turned to Tom Lokes, so I know you know very well, and we both looked at each other and just said, well, we'll still win the game. And I think we were 3-1 up after about half an hour.
Don't know how to explain it. I never really experienced that I kind of experienced it a bit at Cardiff, to be honest, but in a completely different way. But just that feeling that you were turning up to games, you know, you'd done like the hard work Monday to Friday, you knew that you were playing well, and everybody knew their job, everybody knew the formation, and anybody who would come in would know what we were doing. Like, we were well drilled, to be honest. Like, Steve was very good on a training pitch, and he kind of used to say, like, know your job, do your job, and I felt that everybody done that, and it was such a great team and a great season to be part of, but just disappointing at the end.
So when Steve McLaren says you're not in the starting 11, does your face give your feelings away? Are you that sort of person, or do you try and keep it straight-faced and take your anger or whatever it is elsewhere?
Probably said that's fine. But yeah, I think deep down, when I look back at it and I get a wee bit older, it was obviously a hard decision for him as well. I think when he's pulled me to kind of drop me, like you say, for the final, that he probably thinks that's going to be a hard conversation as well. But I never argued or anything. I would never go and chat the manager's door or argue with him if I wasn't playing and stuff like that. Like, I don't really see the point. It's not going to change his mind anyway. Kind of like arguing with referees. Like, they're not going to change their mind. So just thought, right, well, we've effectively got this game to try and get promoted, and we'll see what happens from there. And if I do come on, then try and help the team. But tried to do that, but unfortunately in the end it wasn't enough. But I think any player that wasn't playing that game, that had effectively played the full season, would be very disappointed. But there's not much you can do. He picks the team, and he lives and dies by that.
Yeah, but you were the second leading goal scorer behind Chris Martin. You'd scored 2 hat-tricks, the famous hat-trick against Forest. You were regarded as a key part of that Derby team. I don't know, I sort of sometimes think it's a bit odd about Derby managers when they get to playoff finals. They just seem to lose it when it comes to picking the team. I remember the universal groan from 40,000 Derby fans when, you know, with all due respect to Tom Lawrence and Mason Bennett, that was named as the strike partnership against Aston Villa. And what? And I remember going around in the press box at Wembley talking to people, and again, I'm not blowing smoke up your bottom here. People could not understand how you couldn't be in that team to face QPR.
You're trying to depress me here. It wasn't great, like, to be honest, but I think it made it a wee bit worse. It's obviously straight after the game, you're emotional, aren't you, after it? And then me and Lee Grant got taken away straight away for a drug test. And you go into the same room as like the 2 QPR players, who were Joey Barton and Nico Crancher. And they basically said to me, sitting there with a medal and a bottle of beer, that they kind of got a lift when they seen that I wasn't on the team sheet. And that just kind of fuel to the fire. That just made me feel even worse and not great. But I don't really know what else to say, but that is what it is.
So that was a real great end to the afternoon, then, having to sit there waiting to produce.
Yeah, I'm not great at that either when somebody's watching. But no, it's obviously not great. It's not great, but there's nothing to say. I suppose that if I was in the team, we would have went on to win. You
did get on the pitch, didn't you? What was your mind as you walked, ran, whatever, across that white line? I'll show you.
Yeah, I think that was always a mindset, that if I get a chance to come on, I want to show you that I should have been starting the game. But at the same time, like, it was for Derby. I wanted to get promoted. Like, I turned down, like, you know, a couple of years later, or in my time at Derby, a chance to play in the Premiership with other teams. Like, I just felt that I wanted to play in the Premiership with Derby, and yeah, it wasn't to be. But if I was going to play at that level, it was going to be with Derby, and I turned it down a few times.
Shall we leave that cheery day behind now and move on?
If you must.
Actually, to that summer, and you mentioned about Premier League clubs. How close were you to joining Burnley?
It got quite close. It got close, to be fair. It's one of them. It was like heart ruling the head, and or whatever, vice versa. Like, you've got the chance to go and play in the Premiership, the self-proclaimed like best league in the world, against the best players, best stadiums, etc. Or you stay in the Championship and have 46 battles again. To be honest, it did get very, very close.
You actually went to speak to them, didn't you?
Yeah. You know, I had like a kind of release fee in my deal. They matched it. So effectively, I felt that whether I wanted to go 100% or whether I didn't want to go at all, I think it's always the right thing to do, and go and speak to the club and show them that bit of respect, that they've took the time and the effort to put a bid on the table for you. I could have went up to Burnley with zero intention of signing for them, but like that wasn't the case, but you know what I'm trying to say. So it's difficult because I was fully settled at Derby. My wife was settled at Derby. We loved it there. The fans liked us. We were, like I say, we were completely settled there. So it was kind of like uprooting and moving. And then when you look at it, see if it was maybe like an established Premiership club, then you're probably going to go. But in my head, I thought there's a chance maybe the next season Derby will go up, and there's a chance Burnley will come back down. And it's like you're trying to weigh up like everything. Then Derby came and offered me a 5-year contract. It was a good bit more security, and just thought the right thing to do was just stay at Derby and see if we can get to Premiership that way.
I seem to recall that two Derby officials hot-footed it up towards the Lancashire area, almost to make sure that you didn't sign, to say, look, OK, if you stay with us in the Championship, we'll reward you by giving you... I mean, a 5-year deal in the Championship is some deal.
Yeah, it was, but I'd still be better off if I went to the Premiership, which a lot of people didn't... Well, I don't think that was really portrayed well in the press or as a famous place on Twitter. I think everybody just throws figures about there and then they're all right. And I think when you look at the deal I was going to sign at Burnley and what Burnley had actually done, I think they came down, then they went back up, then they went Europe and stuff like that. So if we're talking financial, I'd be a lot better off if I went to Burnley than staying at Derby in the Championship for the 5 years. So it's one of them. I think the chance to play in the Premiership is massive. Like when I was growing up back up in Scotland as a 16-year-old boy or whatever it was, watching football, watching the Premiership and getting that opportunity to go there and turning it down is like madness when you think about it. Because every single player's got aspirations to play at the highest level, but if you told me back then that I would turn down a chance to play in the Premiership, I'd say you're mental as well. So it's one of them. I was settled at Derby. I love Derby, always will. That's kind of what it came down to.
Years on, do you ever look back and think, I made the wrong decision?
I wouldn't say I look back and say I made the wrong decision at all, because I felt at the time that I was making the right decision. But I think I sometimes look back and think, like, what if? Like, what would have happened if I actually went and signed for a Premiership club? Like, where would I be? What would I be doing now? Where would I move to? And stuff like that. But in terms of like my career as a whole, again, if I go back to like a boy and you told me I'd have the career that I had growing up in East Kilbride up in Glasgow, then I'd snap your hand off. So I don't try and be downbeat about it at all.
Let's talk about the young Craig Bryson then. Us lot down south, we're not very good with our geography of Scotland. Sort of know where Edinburgh and Glasgow are, and I know Inverness is a long way up and Aberdeen's a long way up as well. Geographically, where did you grow up and where did you play your football?
I grew up in a place called East Kilbride, so effectively Glasgow. It's about 20 minutes from Glasgow. I grew up, I played for a club called Westwood, which is effectively my really local team. I moved on to a club that was just a wee bit further away called Busby, which is still kind of in about the Glasgow area. Then moved on to Queen's Park, as you should probably know, again Glasgow, then on to Motherwell and on to Clyde. So it was quite a straightforward upbringing in a sense in football. Like, I didn't have many clubs, was never one for many clubs. I'm moving about. Like when I was settled, I was happy, and I feel like when you are settled and you're happy, you play your best football, and that was it. Like I'm kind of trying to do the same with my son now, and what my mum and dad done with me, and driving about at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning to take him to his football, standing in the great Scottish summer weather, as you can imagine. You need to pack for 4 different seasons in the one day up here. But that's effectively like my hobby now. I play a wee bit of golf, but my main hobby is taking my son to play football and stuff like that. So quiet life.
Where did the break come? Where was the opportunity suddenly? I might be able to be a professional footballer.
I was doing okay at Queen's Park. I think I was about the age of maybe 12 to 16, give or take. I then get scouted for Motherwell. I went to play with Motherwell for a wee bit. Motherwell were in the SPL. It came to that stage where are they going to keep you on, or are they going to release you? Motherwell then offered me like a full-time contract, so like pro youth contract. I don't know what the equivalent is down south, to be honest. But then Clyde, who were in the Scottish Championship at the time, offered me the same, so they offered me a pro youth contract as well. Then me and my dad just worked it out and thought, like, where have you basically got the best chance to play first team quicker? Motherwell had players like James Fadden and stuff like that playing, who were like massive for the national team at that time. Obviously a wee bit of a different position, but Motherwell were doing very well. So thought there's a good chance if I drop down a level, I could try and play first team quicker. And the manager at the time, or the assistant manager, kind of knew him a wee bit from growing up. So you knew they had a good record of giving youth team players a chance. So decided to turn down the contract at the SPL club and go to the Championship club. So take a step back down and basically had a season training with the first team, went out on loan to East Kilbride Thistle, which is a junior team, and then went back in that season and effectively played every game. So it worked out well.
Yeah, and then on to Kilmarnock.
Yeah, I think they signed me for 25 grand or something.
Bargain.
I know, but I think obviously at Clyde, I'd done quite well. I'd scored against like Rangers and Celtic in the one season. Scored in obviously the famous game, like Roy Keane's debut. Then I was linked to a lot of teams from it. That's when I came down to Derby on trial under Billy Davis. Must have been around about the January, because we played Celtic in the January. Then I had a lot of interest and speculation around me at that time. So I came down for a trial. I thought I'd done quite well in the trial. It was quite open and honest. They said that you're not ready to play in a first team and we don't have a reserve team. So it'd be kind of no point in you coming down at this stage to not really play any football. Went back up the road, finished the season with Clyde and signed for Kilmarnock, and then 4 years later signed for Derby.
Must have been great scoring against Celtic, scoring against Rangers.
Yeah, I scored against the Celtic the season. I think it was the season before, but it disallowed, so I was obviously gutted about that. And then they went on to beat us like 5-0 or 5-1. Went to Ibrox in the Cup and managed to score the equaliser, and we were leading like 2-1, so it was going to be a massive upset there as well. Leading 2-1 to like maybe the 85th minute. Somebody made a mistake and we drew 2 each, and then get beat 5-2 in extra time or something, and then beat Celtic. So it was very good. It was a good season.
So you bide your time, 2011. Nigel Clough, presumably his brother Simon, was the one who'd spotted you playing. You come to sign for Derby. Were there opportunities to go elsewhere?
I think there was a few. I think it was maybe Watford and Brighton. Basically because my previous experience of Derby, going down and seeing the stadium, seeing the training ground. I think I stayed at Morley Hayes or something when I went down, and then I thought when they came in for me, right, I was like, I'm not interested really where anybody else is. I want to go to Derby. Ended up going to Derby, and the rest is history, really.
Yeah, start of, 8-9 years?
Yeah.
But Nigel Clough came in, Derby had been relegated. I mean, he had a hell on earth job to sort out the mess that he'd inherited, and eventually he started to clear it out and started bringing in the likes of you, and other players followed as well. But it was still a big time of transition, wasn't it?
I think he'd done an unbelievable job when you look at it and you see what he had to do, like the amount of players that he had to get out of the club, the wage budget that he had to slash. He then had to recruit quite well on, I imagine, what was like a very small budget at that time for Derby. I actually think he was doing a good job, and I feel like if we actually stuck with him, we'd have been in a better position than we were.
Even though Steve McClaren sort of came in, did something, and all right, you lost the playoff final, but people generally regard the football that was played from late September 2013 until the end of that season some of the best they've seen in a long time. The stuff under Lampard every now and then had its moments, but generally that season, and as you said, there was that almost arrogance about the way that you went out and just sort of brushed teams aside. Yeah, automatic promotion was always going to be a long shot because it was the end of September really when the season got going, and by that time Leicester and Burnley had really got a stranglehold on the top 2 positions.
I don't disagree with that was the best football that we played, probably in my time there, and as a team and individually. But I just felt that the sacking of Nigel, in my opinion at the time, was quite harsh. Like you said, he was getting rid of everybody. He was bringing in his own players. He was signing players from probably lower levels who were coming to Derby who really wanted to be at the club, who were absolutely delighted to be there. It's the best club they've ever been at. We all bought into him. We were buying into kind of I know we were maybe was it maybe mid-table at the time or a wee bit lower.
Hadn't won at home. That was one of the factors. I mean, you talk about the team and the players that he signed, and it was definitely an evolving team. And there was this feeling that maybe 13-14 under Nigel Clough was going to be the season where you would finally get into a playoff place, because the likes of Johnny Russell was there, Chris Martin was there, the current head coach, John Eustace, was there. And of course, Fozzie was there as well. I mean, Fozzie's always been there, hasn't he?
I just felt that if he got that a wee bit longer to put his stamp on the team, and maybe if he got back in the transfer windows the way that other managers done, because you look at the kind of players that he brought in on, I'm guessing, lower wages, lower transfer fees and stuff like that, and then obviously Steve came in and it seemed like he would get a lot more money. So I always do wonder if Nigel actually got that money. I'm not sure if he'd have tried to sign people for £5-6 million anyway. He'd probably have still looked up in Scotland and maybe the lower leagues, but that's just the way it was. He wanted good characters, he wanted a good team spirit around the place as well. So for me, I was gutted when he went, because obviously he was the manager that brought me down there. He's the one that showed the trust in me, and for the time that he was there, it was unbelievable for me. It was like effectively a father figure when I moved down there.
Did you sense that change was coming?
I didn't. I was probably a wee bit naive at the time. Obviously, I didn't really listen to the outside noise or any of that nonsense that was potentially going on. Obviously, we just lost to Forest as well, which obviously isn't great. And then I think we knew enough, everybody knew on the bus, still at the City ground, that it was kind of going. But yeah, so that was kind of like rubbing salt into the wounds, that we'd kind of, in a sense, let them down by losing that game. And then it was effectively gone the next day. So yeah, it wasn't great, but I suppose at Derby, I think I had a different manager every year anyway, didn't I? So it seemed to be the norm.
It became a bit of a merry-go-round. Just on the early part of that 13-14 season, as I said, Derby hadn't won at home that season, and that's never great. But away from home, you'd got some decent results, including, obviously, the 5-0, 5-1 at Millwall, where you finally... somebody scored a hat-trick for the first time since Paul Simpson had done it in 1996.
Yeah, I didn't have a clue about that before the game, to be honest. Obviously, it was my first hat-trick. I think I scored one when I was about 14 or something, but I didn't once for a minute think going into any game that I was really going to score a hat-trick. I was happy just to get a goal. My record of goals wasn't too great. It's something that I would always try to improve on, but to score a hat-trick down there in front of their fans thought the game was going to get abandoned, to be honest, because
it was nasty, wasn't it?
We were getting a wee bit of abuse for that section in the warm-up, and for some reason I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of point at them when I scored maybe I think it was the second one, and I was like, oh no, I'm on a hat-trick here, I'm going to get lynched, and then I think the horses and everything were out. So it was a bit of a nightmare. I thought the game was going to get abandoned when they counted, but yeah, no, it was fantastic to score a hat-trick down there.
So Nigel Clough does go. Steve McLaren came in. He was watching the first night. You were skipper, weren't you, for the game against Ipswich? Is that right?
Yeah, that went well, didn't it?
Well, I didn't like to say, but yeah, it was an interesting night.
4-1 down at half time or something. I think he came down to the change room and changed us into like a 4-3-3 and went out and drew 4 each. But yeah, it was an interesting night.
When Steve McLaren, Paul Simpson and Eric Steele came in, what changed? Was there a massive change from what you'd been doing previously, or was it subtle? What was it?
I can't remember, mate, massively, to be honest. Obviously, Nigel favoured a 4-4-2 mostly. Steve put us into a 4-3-3 when we just worked a lot on it in training, and I think everybody buys into it when you start getting results and you can start seeing performances happening and phases of play happening that you work on in training happening in games and being successful from that. And I think once that happens, like I say, once you get the results, once you get performances and stuff like that, then you just kind of build on it. And like I said, like, it always was massive on people knowing their job and doing their job, and everybody went into the games knowing what they were expected of them.
Well, as I said, it was quite a season for you. You got your second Player of the Year award, 16 goals, and the game that everybody remembers you for. And actually, Derby still run it now because it's this case of, well, we used to beat Forest. That day at Pride Park and your hat-trick against them was just phenomenal. It was a phenomenal day.
It was a bit more special for me as well because my full family were there. They'd all travelled down, obviously, for Scotland for the game as well. So for them to see that as well, and again, like you said about the hat-trick against Millwall, I had no idea that nobody scored the hat-trick in that game for, what was it, 100 odd years or something. So that just made it even more special. But again, for me, just going into that game, I don't think we'd scored in maybe 4 games going into it. I don't think we were on the best of runs going into that game. You're like, anything can happen here. As long as we win, nothing else really matters. And to go there, for it to come and get beat 5-0 was unbelievable.
Cost Billy Davis his job as well.
Well, goes back to the trial, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure you enjoyed that bit. As we speak, as we record this, you are, at the moment, the last Derby player to score a winning goal at the City Ground. That needs putting right, doesn't it?
Near enough to the day. So I'm sure somebody tagged me on Twitter this morning. That was a good day, wasn't it? It's weird because, obviously, my whole time at Derby, we near enough had the upper hand on Forest. We were always finishing higher up in the league. We were always in about the playoffs. And then flip a few years, went into the league like 2019. So near enough 6 years. And they're playing in Europe in the Premiership and stuff like that. And Derby went down to the League One and came back up. It's mental how football works at times, to be honest. But yeah, it's not great watching them in the Premiership.
This is Life After the Rams. I'm Colin Gibson in conversation with Craig Bryson. Life After the Rams is proudly sponsored by 7 Restaurant and Café Bar, located on Derby's Pride Park. 7 is the leading destination for all-day dining, artisan coffee and handcrafted cocktails. With a focus on quality, seasonal ingredients and a welcoming atmosphere, 7 is where the community comes together to relax, connect and celebrate.
Life After the Rams with Colin Gibson.
Interesting, you said you played under quite a few managers and it really did become a procession of managers. It's a bit of an odd one for you and you might not want to answer this. Was there any of them you didn't get on with?
No. I actually got on with him quite well in the main. Maybe Steve, the second time around, was a wee bit, maybe not great. From what happened in the playoff final that we spoke about to start with, but I wouldn't say we never got on as such. I just don't think it was like the way it was the first time.
Do you think that was a bit of an odd decision that really they were going to announce Chris Powell as manager and then suddenly, oh no, Steve's coming back for another go?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a case of like we had done the first time round, we'll just bring him back and see if we can do it second time around. But for me, it's never the same when you do come back. Especially for myself, we didn't get on too well, mate, after like the playoff final. It didn't do anything to my performance or anything happening on the pitch, but there just wasn't that like relationship in a sense. I'd probably say like it wasn't great. From my part, I don't know what he will say, but I was probably gutted when he came back.
There was another playoffs in 2016 and you lost 3-0 at home to Hull City. It was an abject performance, and that's the word, abject. They scored the third goal, which actually did kill the tie in the end. And I remember driving over to Hull and the media team who were driving over there and just thought, well, 90 minutes and then it's all over and done with. How could you have put in that awful performance on the Saturday and then this stunning performance where whatever Steve Bruce did as Hull's manager, they couldn't stop you playing, and within the first half an hour you were 2 up and they were on the back foot? What was the difference?
I don't know, it's probably easy to play when you're 3-0 down in a sense. Like it doesn't essentially matter, does it? Like in the first leg you've got like that pressure, it's nothing each, like let us try and win it. But when you go 3-0 down, it's like, well, we may as well try and do something, may as well play with a wee bit of freedom. Like as it stands, we're going out, so we may as well just give it everything to go through. I remember I had a chance as well, like a cross come in and maybe it hit my calf, maybe like, I don't know, 2-5 yards or something, and if that goes in, I think that maybe makes it 3 each. I think I might be wrong in that.
No, you're right. I didn't want to point a finger at you, but no, you're right.
I know. I think if that went in, and then I generally think in that game as well, if it goes for each, then we're going to win the game there, because it's a flipping mindset, isn't it? But I think it's probably easy. The pressure's off, isn't it? When you're 3-0 down, the pressure's off. Like, you go and play with that freedom, and once you start to get closer, well, say 3-2, you start to go, right, we are back in it. Like, let's kind of calm down a bit, play our football, and we should be okay. But again, that was another killer, because the third goal at home against us was like from a corner very late in the game, which is a disaster, a goal to lose at any time of the season, never mind at that point, where 2-0 was maybe okay to turn round. 3-0 that would have been one hell of an effort to turn that around. You
did get a promotion, but you went to Wales to achieve it.
Yeah, that was a good season for me personally. I really enjoyed. I didn't want to go to Cardiff to start with, but I thoroughly enjoyed my time at Cardiff, and like that group of boys and the team spirit there was incredible. I actually think that's probably what got us promoted. We weren't the best like footballing team in the league at all, far from it. Like, you had Fulham, who probably were. Fulham and Wolves obviously kind of ran away with it a wee bit in the end, but Fulham were unbelievable that season, but they just couldn't get anywhere near us. Even when they did, and you think we were going to drop points, we'd win the game. It was a wee bit, like I said earlier, about Derby and that arrogance in a sense, and turning up to games knowing you're going to win. We just felt that at times in some games we were that horrible that we would win the game. You just ride that crest knowing that everybody in that team as well bought into what Neil Warnock was telling you what to do, and we played as a team, and effectively that's what got us promoted. It wasn't individuals, it was just a team collective.
Got a bit fruity between Cardiff and Derby, didn't it?
Nothing to do with me, by the way.
I'm not saying it was.
I know. I think a few people thought that was to do with me, because obviously I had the link between both clubs. But I was actually in Edinburgh when it happened, because it was international break straight after it. I wasn't allowed obviously to play. I think the game got called off with the snow. So I was actually up in Scotland at the time, and then just heard the group chat, and it was going like ping 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 in my pocket, and I was like, oh no, what's happening here? And the least said about that the better.
Well, at least Derby won when the game was rearranged at Pride Park. But Cardiff, as you say, had the last laugh. What about then coming back to Derby? Was it ever the same again for you, or was it really, do you know what, I probably had my best times now at Derby?
It's difficult when you do go away and come back. Cardiff tried to buy me in that window as well. I think they would have agreed a fee somewhere in the middle. I think Cardiff offered X amount, Derby wanted X amount, they would have agreed somewhere in the middle. Again, it was a chance of playing the Premiership. Frank Lampard got a job, and he phoned me, I think, near enough straight away, and just asked me to stay. And like I said, I didn't know what to go to start with. I had a fantastic time when I was there, but I just regarded Derby as like my club. That's where I wanted to play football. And if you've got a manager or a world-class player in Frank Lampard phoning you, asking you to stay, like, he was somebody I used to watch when I was growing up. Like, what could I possibly learn off him? Like, it'd be incredible for like my position. So once he phoned me, it was kind of like, right, well, I'm staying in it. I'm not going anywhere.
Eventually it did come to an end, and you returned up home, north, back to Scotland, and a couple of cup wins. Also, I went to Aberdeen to start with. Went there injured, got myself fit, basically get injured after a couple of games, and then that's injury it did end my career. That didn't go well up there, to be honest. In reality, or in hindsight, it was a terrible move geographically. I was staying in Kilmarnock, travelling up there, and you're 3 hours, a good 3 hours up there, just a newborn son at the time, so I didn't really think it through that well. As it is, took the risk, went up there, didn't work out, came back, went to St Johnstone, won the League Cup and won the Scottish Cup, so ended well again. Yeah, right choices on this occasion. But did you know that realistically the playing days were pretty well over?
Yeah, it was injury that kind of killed us. Just innocuous. Like, I just planted my left foot, played it past my right foot, my ankle gave way. And I was just like, all right, I've sprained it, I'll be back in a week or two. And it just kept on going on and on. Operation, injections, just couldn't get fit. I couldn't turn anti-clockwise. So I was going out to training, and the boys were like basically saying that, like, making fun of me, saying like, you effectively can't run. Like, you're looking like you're running about with a stone in your boot, because I was like kind of limping. And it's quite difficult, because you get the ball and I would get stuck, So I'll get kind of effectively get the ball taken off me because I couldn't turn to get away from people or get out of the situation. And I was like having to do things that I would never ever do before, just to try to get out of the situation. And then obviously I was a decent runner back in my day. That once that kind of goes, then you're struggling. So it was the pain. I couldn't get through the pain. It was like a sharp pain that would come into my ankle. It was disabling. And then kind of I would get injections every 2 or 3 months to kind of get through another 2 or 3 months. And then I got to a stage where I was playing in the garden with my son. I'm like hobbling about, trying to chase him. And I'm going, what am I actually doing? Why am I trying to prolong my career here? You've effectively had a good career. Just let it go. But it's very difficult to let it go. It's very difficult to let something you've done like your whole life just come to an end. But I kept on going back to the young lad coming through. If you've had this career, blah, 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 you snap your hand off. So I was going to retire after St Johnstone. My mate phoned me at Stenhousemuir, ended up going there for a few weeks, and then that was like, nah. I phoned the manager, said, just release me, just give me a wage to a young kid coming through. I don't want any money, I don't want anything for leaving, I just want to leave. I want to give that wage to 1 or 2 kids coming through, give them a chance in football, and I'll just go. And then luckily for me, they were good about it and let me go, because I think they knew I wasn't ripping it. I wasn't going to another club. I was calling it a day. Like I was finished. I was scunnered. I wasn't taking any more injections. I wasn't having any more operations. I was just finished. And basically from that day, I've not done anything to do with football. I've just kind of, it's like it never happened in a sense.
That must take some doing.
I don't know. Like, it's weird. Obviously, when you don't, it's hard to explain to some people when they don't play, but effectively as a job at the end of the day. And then there's the pressure, everything that comes with it, the abuse, blah, blah, blah. I just thought, right, I've had enough. I was never one to coach, never into coaching at all. I was always into the fitness side, the stats side and stuff like that. But in terms of coaching and going and doing my coaching badges, like, I'm not going to do that at all. And then I don't have the uni degree or college degree, whatever you need up here to be like a kind of strength and conditioning coach or sports scientist at a club on that. So, yeah, just sacked it.
So what are you doing?
I own a gym in Kilmarnock with my mate. It's called Total Fitness. I don't know why you're not a member.
It's probably a bit of a trek, but go on.
We do online coaching as well, mate, if you fancy it. I do that. I do personal training, and we work with the Kilmarnock Women's Academy, so from under 13s up to first team in the women's side of the game, just doing like some strength conditioning, some sports scientist stuff and all that. So keeps me ticking over, gets me out of the house. I think for about a year I was maybe lost. When I retired, I think the dog was raging at how many times I walked him in a day. And I just find myself walking about the kitchen. I'm busy enough.
So what about the future? Are you quite happy with the way life is going on? Because you made it pretty clear there that football is not for you.
I am happy. Like, I'm happy with what I'm doing, happy with the family life, like, happy in general that I don't have to miss anything. Like with my kids, like I can go and do like all the school stuff, whatever they have to do there, take them to football, swimming, karate, all that kind of stuff, play golf with them. So I can do everything that I want to do now in life with my kids. So it's quite good being your own boss in a sense that you don't have to answer to somebody, you don't have to be there at a certain time, you don't have to wear this, you don't have to eat this, you don't have to do that. So I just kind of potter along, do my own thing, and I just happy in my lane, as I say.
When you look back at your time at Derby, 8 years, I suppose everybody would say the hat-trick against Forest. So is there one moment that stands out for you?
I don't know if I would say like one moment. I think I just enjoyed my full time there. I just loved being a part of the club. Loved everything that it kind of stood for, and just the chance to play there and represent the fans. And I think I done an interview with Kilmarnock not long ago, and I just said that if like the Derby fans would remember me for one thing, it would just be like hard work, dedication, and gave 100% every time I pulled on that strip, then that's good enough for me.
I think it was a bit more than that.
I loved my full time there. Obviously, you have some highs, you have some lows, but that's just the nature of the business and stuff like that. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Gutted that I won't get to play for Derby again, but maybe another testimonial or something down the line that I can come back and get the boots on and play there.
Are you still in touch with any of the players that you were playing with? Also, just to say, one of your former teammates, well, is the head coach. Another of the players is still playing. I presume his last contract included a pension book and a bus pass. He's something else, isn't he?
it's very difficult to keep in touch with everybody, like, but I would give Fozzie a text every now and again. Used to gave him a good few texts when he got a job, and then this season and stuff like that, and he's always telling me to come back down and come to training, come to a game and stuff. Adam Storer, speak to him a lot as well. So I think in football it's quite hard to keep in contact with everybody. You go through about 30 odd players a season, moving to different clubs, family life, other things going on, so it's difficult.
Bryce, thank you. That was fascinating. Now, don't forget, there is a chance to win a £50 voucher to spend in the DCFC Megastore, courtesy of RamsTrust, the Derby County Supporters Trust. You have to answer this question. Who was manager of Craig when he went on loan to Cardiff City? Of course, they got promoted. Who was his manager? Send your answer on an email to lifeaftertherams@backpassproductions.co.uk. The closing date is midnight, Wednesday, December the 3rd. The winner will be selected at random from all the correct entries, and good luck. In our next episode, we talk to Craig Short.
I came back from Budapest in 2010. I'd retired playing by then. I'd worked out in Budapest for Sheffield United at Ferencváros. I just got divorced. I came back and realised that something wasn't quite right with my finances. I was getting huge tax bills.
That's out on Thursday, December the 4th. If you've missed our conversations so far with Phil G, Eric Steele, Roger Davis or Sean Barker, they're available at wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks to RamsTrust for donating our prizes, and thanks to 7 Restaurant and Café Bar in Derby for supporting us. They're located on Derby's Pride Park. 7 is the leading destination for all-day dining, artisan coffee and handcrafted cocktails with a focus on quality, seasonal ingredients and a welcoming atmosphere. 7 is where the community comes together to relax, connect and celebrate.
Life After the Rams is a Back Pass production.